Hello everybody, it's me GhostCritic with a retro comic rewind review. And for those of you who've been watching these videos and reading the instructions at the end on how to participate in this part of the week, you will know that I have never owned a comic book beginning with the letter Q, so I always say please don't pick the letter Q. A couple of weeks ago I went comic book hunting and came back with a haul. There was nothing really of note to do a video on, so there was a few little bits that I wanted to point out to certain people, and they saw that on the old Twitters. And lo and behold, we found ourselves a Q. And of course the eagle-eyed Wednesday serial, Matt, quickly jumped on nominating the letter Q this week. There was no point in asking him what number to pick because there was only one comic to pick. And that is this week's review of The Question, the very first annual from DC. It's 1988, and did I really even have to tell you that by looking at the cover? It's big hair, mullets, muscles, shoulder pads, rolled up jacket sleeves, pinched waists. Of course it's the late 80s. Where else could this be happening? Sorry. The cover alone was worth the 50p I paid for this. Written by Dennis O'Neill with art by Dennis Cowan and Rick Magyar. Sorry about that. It's a crossover. This is part 3 of a 3-part crossover called Fables. Unfortunately, no connection to the Bill Willingham's Vertigo pen title, which was disappointing. And to be honest, I haven't read the other 2 annuals that go with this. That was Detective Comics annual and a Green Arrow annual that had the first 2 parts in it. So basically, I'm trying to pick up whatever's going on from one issue, and it just happens to be the end of the crossover story. I've looked up, I couldn't find a lot on the old Tinternet, what this whole storyline was meant to be, why it was a crossover. The only connection that I can really find is the 3 characters. Batman and Green Arrow both appear in this annual of The Question. And the premise of the story is Lady Shiva, our lady here, she recruits The Question, Batman and Green Arrow to help fulfill the dying wishes of her sensei, who is ready to die and wants to be buried with his wife. Cue lots of flashbacks to the 1900s, where we have our sensei as a younger man who has decided to stay in a temple. He feels like he's disgraced his family because he killed the previous kind of tenants, I guess, of this temple, and he feels he did them a disservice in the way he killed them, so he's kind of atoning for his sins, learning the ways of the people who resided in this temple. And it doesn't matter how long it takes him to kind of master this belief and become as one, however you want to call it, he's going to stay there. Now, it's not really explained why, but there are people back in Japan who want this sensei guy back in Japan. He has his wife pleading for him. He has these kind of like Japanese mob, mafia type guys come over, of which he makes swift work of. He's not the non-violent type of temple resident. And it's a strange little book. because there seems to be no like real reason why any three of these would get involved. Batman is only there to provide intel so they know where they're going. Green Arrow's purely there because he killed a rabbit and he kind of disposed of a few kind of foot soldiers along the way. And the Question just seems to get beaten up a lot and beats up people a lot. He even questions himself why he's here. What was it from him that Lady Shiva required? And we get some flashbacks of the Question's life with his teacher and the idea of embracing pain, and we have this kind of montage of the present day where he's being attacked by some kind of hoodlums. Pretty bad. He's not doing too well because he's on his own, and the lessons of his teacher when he was a lot younger, where, you know, life will always be full of pain, and instead of trying to reject it, to conquer it, just embrace it. And embrace it, the Question certainly does. It all kind of gets tied up. They get the sensei, they put him on this boat to take him back to where his wife is presumably buried, so he can die and then be buried with her. But a freak storm capsizes the boat, and despite his best efforts, the Question is unable to save the sensei from drowning, and we lose the sensei. And we have this, oh dear, I've failed, and the Question feels, you know, very sorry for himself. And then he gets a letter that tells of a previous journey from the family of this sensei, where his wife's remains were being taken, again on a boat, and that boat capsized, and despite everyone else surviving, the box with the wife's ashes was never to be found. It was lying at the bottom of the sea. So he did make it in the end to be buried where his wife was. It's a neat little kind of plot twist right at the end, but nothing too like wow. It's an 80s book. It's adequately written. The artwork, again, decidedly 80s, full of punks and thugs and mullets, and can't forget the mullets. It was okay. That was my first book with the letter Q. What a pearl. Anyway, that's it. Thank you very much. That's it for Retro Comic Rewind this week. If you want to participate in next week's review, please keep watching and follow the instructions that follow. Thank you, Matt, for making me review this. Until next week, goodbye.